John Reviews Fitness Magazines, Take 1. Hi, my name is John Platero, and I'm the Director of Education for the National Council for Certified Personal Trainers. I'm here to review some of the fitness magazines that you see normally on the stands. I'm a published author myself, so I know how it is when I write an article and I go to the photo shoots and the photographer's there and knows nothing about biomechanics and knows nothing about functional anatomy and tries to direct the model to do things that normally shouldn't be done. So unfortunately, a lot of these magazines, they print things that are wrong. I mean, I realize magazines need to sell magazines, and that's what makes them successful. But somebody should be looking at this stuff before they print it. I'll give you some examples. This is Shape, recent issue of Shape. Okay? They're doing basically a side plank here. This seems to be popular lately. This is not a good thing to do. It's dumb. In fact, I tore my lateral meniscus last year showing this type of exercise to a group of people in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Let me show you why it's dumb. When I lay on the ground, your knee is a hinge joint. Although all joints have 3 degrees of motion. Look, here my finger can spin, right? I can spin it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to load a weight and try and spin it. Okay? Your knee is predominantly a hinge joint. So when I go up on one leg like this, gravity is crossing this lower hinge directly 90 degrees to the hinge. It makes no sense. Plus, a human would not be doing this at all for any other reason. And if they did, it would be just for maybe a second. Not 20 seconds, not 30 seconds, not 40 seconds. Now, I realize maybe some physical therapists use this as a way of creating tension across a ligament. But believe me, your lateral collateral ligament does not provide a lot of support to your knee, because normally your lateral collateral ligament is a guide rail or a guardrail like on a freeway, and just keeps your bones moving in the right path of motion. Okay, so although it looks cool, it's dumb. Now, Men's Fitness, recent copy of this. They do the same thing, because once one magazine does it, the other magazines do it. But they have the guy in a box. So I'll show you what it looks like. Make believe this is a box. They got a guy on a box, and he's going up and down on the box like this. Okay? Again, you're trying to challenge this lateral system. There's so many other ways of challenging it that you don't have to screw up your knee doing it. And I guarantee you that if I brought in an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old and I put a table over here where my forearm is and a table over here where the box was, and in between those two tables I had 2 pieces of wood with a hinge in the middle of it, and I gave the kid a stack of plates to go stack them. I guarantee you he'd stack them on the box or the table over there or the table over there. He wouldn't stack them in the middle on the top of a hinge. It just makes no sense. Okay? But for some reason this is popular lately, and I see it in magazines. Now this magazine, it's a health magazine. They do like a modified version of it, which is good. So instead of getting up on your foot, they're getting up on their knee, which saves the knee. So you're here instead of here with the knee in the middle of the air. Now you're using your knee's bent, and you're coming up and down, or down and they're holding a weight like this. So this makes sense. It's a lot easier. It doesn't destroy the knee. But in the same article, they show what's called a balance row, which is like it's a joke. It's a waste of time. And I realize they got to make up stuff because they got to write things, and it's hard to make up different types of rows, but they have the girl standing on one leg, and this is the row. Well, here I have no resistance at all to my lat, right? Or rear deltoid, because that's what you usually work in a row. And so I'm barely moving, my shoulder's barely moving at all to gravity, and here I'm done. I can't go any further, right? And so, and it's not even a good curl. I mean, if anything, if they're going to make it a balanced row, why didn't someone suggest bend over? Bend over. So now you have more range of motion for the shoulder to move in and the lat to lengthen and contract. I don't get why they do that. Okay? All right, so then we've got in the same magazine, girl on the cover is Jamie Presley, and her trainer is a guy that actually I used to be a supervisor. He's an arena football player, so he's a pretty extreme guy. And he's showing, and Jamie Presley's a small girl. I mean, from the picture, she looks like she weighs 100, 110 pounds. Okay? So here's some of the exercise they show. They show her sitting down on the ground like this. Like this. The guy's sitting facing her with his legs like this, and he's holding her here. And from that, she's getting up into a squat, not using her hands. Okay? I can't even do that. All right, we have a 90-degree rule kind of in squats for a bunch of reasons. When you go down to 90 degrees, your quadricep is being stretched, right? Right here it's fully tight. As you bend your leg, your quadricep is getting stretched. And encased in that quadriceps tendon comes the patella tendon. There's a patella there. And the more I bend my knee, the more that quadricep gets stretched, and it pushes against the patella, and there's a bursa under the patella, and that's why you're getting smashed as bursa. So that's one of the reasons we don't go below 90. The other reason is that the way your knee is designed, this is your femur, this is your tibia, is the most contact surface between the two meniscus occur when you're in full extension. Because when you walk or when you run, when you land, your leg's straight. So that's when all that meniscus spongy stuff lines up. So that's where you're designed to take the most amount of load. Okay? As you bend your knee and your femur moves and your condyles slide on the tibia, there's less cartilage here. Okay? Now, believe me, you can go all the way down, like this girl goes all the way down. You can go down like this. A lot of people wash their hands in the river. They get water. They eat like this. But they don't have weight. And they're not doing this 15, 20 times. Okay? So in our fitness field, we have this 90-degree rule because of that. So when they show this picture of her sitting on the ground, there's so much, the knees have so much flexion. If you don't weigh, very little like this girl weighs, it's going to be a lot of stress on your knee. Okay, plus, when your knees are together like this, right, the femur, as your butt goes back, right, your torso has to go forward, right, so your knee, you have a lot more, you're in the sagittal plane. A lot of people have to widen their stance, so instead of their legs going so far forward, they're kind of going outwards. Well, you've taken that away. So this girl's doing like what we call like a sissy squat from a dead stop on the ground. It's really hard on the knees. Then look what she's doing for her abs. Okay? They got to write